It and my brother
So
will be
we
here
live
to
on two
respond,
platforms.
to react to that. Peace, Tunis,
We
yeah.
live right here.
Anthony
So
and
why don't you
June,
guys
hey,
now?
Miss, what's up, bro?
Why
Just
don't you
hang out
guys
for a
go?
minute. My
All
brother
right.
gonna be here. He's gonna
You
be here
guys go on the
soon.
other
Then
side.
we
You
will
got
begin.
you on the video.
Let me
You
just
gotta be
call him
live
now.
twice. All right. So you guys go on the other side now. I'm going to show the one so you can go listen to that video. All right. So I'm gonna share it around so you guys can listen to it. In fact, let's try
Copy.
to find it on
Don't
the phone
worry.
here.
We'll soon
Let's try
start
to find it on
the
this
ball
phone here.
rolling.
Let's try to
Soon
find it on
start the
the other
ball
phone
rolling.
here. All right.
Okay, if
So
you
we are
guys you
live on the
listening,
other
Dapo.
phone. Are we frozen here?
Okay.
Let's see.
He'll be going to be here soon.
All right. So
Irene,
let's see here.
Irene,
We are
bro.
live
Hey,
over
what's up,
here.
Irene? I know where you're watching from. Emmanuel Kesseli Langby
Okay.
is
Let's
watching.
see
Where
here.
you watching from,
We'll try
Emmanuel?
the experiment.
Let me
Let's see.
know. How you guys been watching?
We'll try the
You're
experiment
welcome
here.
to the show. Tonight's
All right.
show
Let's see
is
here. Why not?
all
Let me
about
see. My finger is so big.
the Supreme Court in Liberia responded to
Okay.
Brumskin.
All right. So that we
And we're
go
going
here.
to react to that. Respond if you want to take part in
We
it,
are
you
live.
can. But just a minute, we'll be here,
Okay.
and the
So we are
discussion will
live
begin.
here.
Because I have
All
an
right.
expert,
So here we go here.
who know how
One person
to
that
at
start
least
watching
go into
already.
the
We are live here.
mind of the politician, into their head,
So as you can see,
go into their head,
you guys can
and
see
bring
that
us
we are live. Let me turn it
what they
around.
mean about what they say.
And
Supreme
it's, oh,
Court today, their ruling
so you see here
was
we are live. All right, three
for
people show
Brumskin
up
to
here.
go back
So
to
guys, you
NEC,
move onto the other side.
back to NEC,
You
which
move on the
is
other side. Let me show you one up
National
so we can go
Election
listen to that
Commission,
broadcast. Very important.
and
All right, very
listen
important. So I see
so
you
they
guys
can
on the
give
other
him
side.
the
You'll
result.
see how
If
we
he
can
is
do
not
this. Don't let
satisfied
me
with it,
fooling you on the other side.
then he can proceed back to the Supreme
Studio.
Court.
Put a
That's
beat
what.
that. All that thing can be you see. Some of you guys
So
already
I
know. Those
wish
of you
my
that don't
brother
know,
can
that you can
hurry
wait. They
up
can do all that thing that they can.
to
My man,
come over
yeah.
because I'm on now. I'm waiting for him,
You
but
ready?
I hardly
Well,
can
all
see
the things that
him.
they can be doing. Let me tell you right now. Yeah, the comment section right here. All right, comment section right here. All right. Oh, Moyu
Are
already
they
on.
going to
Good.
come
Moyu is already here.
or not?
See, I'll come into the comment
Walter
section.
Jones
There go
Weir,
Moyu right here.
John,
Moyu not come.
James Weir, what's up, man?
So
How you
yeah, click
doing?
on Moyu here.
Okay,
All right,
we
you
are
see,
here
all my brother.
discussing
There
about
go Moyu
Liberia
over there.
politics.
You see, so
They
guys,
put a
yeah, go on the other
halt
side. Go listen.
to the
There go.
elections. The
Right now, it's
round-up
not playing
election
loud. All right,
was
it's
supposed
not
to
playing
be
right now.
tomorrow, the 7th,
If I put the Sunny on, it will
but
interfere.
it's
You
being
will get
time
like
indefinite right now. Okay, he's here.
So, all
My
right,
brother is here.
enough with the show and tell.
Okay, I'm going to
Enough with
send
the
him
show and
the
tell.
invite.
Let's go on the other side and
We
go
are
watch the
waiting
show.
for
Bye,
you.
guys.
We want the
Let's
ball to
join
be
the other
rolling. We
side.
are here only for 45 minutes. So we are not going more than
All
45
right.
minutes.
So
Program
let's
is
do
only
this.
45, the most 1 hour. So
All
sit
right, let's do
tight
this.
and just
So let
listen.
me release this.
It's all about Liberian politics. We are going to discuss about.
All right. So let's go back.
Yes, tonight is the night. We're going to reaction to the Supreme Court.
Hey guys, I've been here right here.
Decision. That's what we are here for tonight.
I'm right here, guys. That's me here.
Patricia
All right,
Peters,
Diva.
how are you? Good.
All right, so guys, let me see what you guys can hear me here. Yeah, let me see. You guys will be able to hear me. Hold on there, guys. Let me see what you guys can hear me here. I'm sure you guys can hear me. All right, so let's go to it right here. All right. Hold on there, guys. Let me see what you guys can hear. Yeah, so it's very clear here. You can hear you. Okay, cool. Hold on there, guys. Let me see what you guys can hear. Yeah, so it's very clear here. You can hear you. Okay, cool. Hold on there, guys. Let me see what you guys can hear. Yeah, so it's very clear. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, this video you're about to watch here, that was in 2017. I had just came from work and we were in the process of discussing the election result from the court. Yes. So we remember when Child Walker, Bronskin, and others took the election result to court. We were supposed to do our broadcast, our normal campaign, but that result came out at done, and then our actual chairman the input. So listen to it. Those of you that always asking me, oh, they're ready made, they're ready made. This is your opportunity now to get to know me a little bit. Now, look at the face here and tell me where there'll be any difference there, right? All right, so I'm going to bring it down here and let's get the ball rolling here. Share the video, guys.
Wow, everybody coming in. Douglas, Richard, where you watching from? How are you? Mahan, Mana. How you guys doing? Douglas, we are here. It's a program that's also about Liberia politics. Says Zanzi is watching from where? Sidiki White. Hey, my brother Sidiki White, how you doing? This is your
I'm going to
cousin
move it forward,
Suleiman,
guys.
Supreme Court.
Having me tonight. I appreciate it for the 5 minutes.
So that's me right there, 26. That's me right there, guys. So that's me right there. That's me right there, all right? So let's take it back a little bit. All right. So I'll soon be appearing.
Rolling. We are here only for 45 minutes. So we are not going more than 45 minutes. The program is only 45, the most 1 hour. So sit tight and just listen. It's all about Liberian politics. We are going to discuss about the decision the Supreme Court rendered today. So that's what the discussion is going to be surrounding. So don't worry, be happy. Everything will be cool. We are here only for 45 minutes, not more than 45, at least probably 1 hour. So if you want to hang around, my expert is coming. My guest will be here soon. I'm trying to invite him to join me. Duke, what's up, Duke? Okay. Elijah King Lee, hey, my camera brother, how you doing? I'm waiting for my man to enter so that we can discuss Liberian politics. And you guys are welcome. You may, if you are, you satisfied, whatever. Okay, at least you can see him.
All
This is
right.
my expert. He's a political analyst, and he has an MA in environmental.
All right, guys. So let us enjoy the conversation. All right. Let me take Levi from here because Levi blocking my view here. All right. So let's do it. All right. So this is Jay Randy here, about to give you analysis in 2017 regarding the election. Listening to how we discuss. I'm watching with you guys here. So let's get into it and listen. I look forward to your comment. I'll be right here with you guys, right here.
Something. He's an analyst of everything. The two good majors is major in two good subject, which is politics and environmental something. So today he's going to be telling us about, he's going to go into the mind of Brumskin and also the mind of the Supreme Court. He has been with them since last week, and today they came out with a decision. My brother Randy, how are you today?
Hey, Tunis, I'm doing great, and thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it for the 5 minutes. I think it will be a quick learning experience for our followers to get to understand what is actually unfolding in the country. So thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, before we go further, Randy, can you just introduce yourself for our listeners? Just briefly introduce yourself, who you are. Are you a Liberian or American or Jamaican? And what do you do so far before we go into our topic?
Yeah, my name is Randolph Doppel, and I'm an environmental policies and analyst. I look at every spectrum of society from the regulatory standpoint, from the policy standpoint, and I also have an engineering degree in environmental engineering, and I do have a computer science degree as well. But over the course of the year, most of my expertise has been looking at policies, the behavior of human being, their interaction with society, why they make decisions, what is the benefit, and what can I do to undo some of the benefits by exposing the behaviors in that. And on top of that, too, I'm also very much in tune to politics. I have a very great general knowledge in politics, and not to mention Liberian politics. I'm very good at analyzing our politicians because over the course of the year, I understood what their positions are, when they strike and when not to strike, when they align and when not to align. So this conversation here is going to be basically about the decision of the Supreme Court tonight. So today, thanks for having me. I want people to look at me as someone who look at things from an analytical point of view, from the root cause, things are happening, and why we continue to go in circle, and what solution can I provide in terms of that. Thank you, Tunis.
Thank you for that introduction. That's a very fine introduction. So you know the value of the man who is right before you here today to talk about Liberian politics. What was the delay about from the Supreme Court? Anyway.
Well, I think the Supreme Court took the bait from Mr. Bronsky for the fact that we have institutions in our country, and if we are to grow our environment, I mean, if we are to grow our institution, we must build confidence and trust in our institution. So when Mr. Bronsky filed the report with the Supreme Court, I think they had to juggle between whether they should accept or whether they should not. So um, they got caught up between rock and hard places. So in the final analysis, they decided to come up with a decision that everyone has been talking about, which is about due process, following the process that is applicable to our society. So as you can see today, they came up with that decision, which is giving a U-turn back to the NEC, which is the governing body that oversee the election in our country.
But one thing I would like for you to let us know from last week when the case was presented to the Supreme Court,
Correct.
and they told us that they were going to get back to us on Thursday, and which Thursday was a national holiday. Why would they come up with decision like that? And well, they were knowing that it's going to be a holiday. Why was that?
Well, apparently they got caught up in the process, not knowing that was an oncoming holiday. And for the most part, too, like you observe on the news, they have the ECOWAS delegation in the country. They too are also trying to weather the storm in the country in regards to what the decision of the Supreme Court would turn out to be. So all these factors build all the chemistry that the publicists, I mean, that came up with the fact that they were going to deliver on Thursday, probably did not, give thought to the fact that Thursday was going to be a holiday. So, I mean, that's a lesson learned, and that's why we're supposed to have publicists who will look at the calendar to determine on what is ahead and when and why can we make or not make the kind of statement. So those are some of the reasons that they flip like that. But I think they learned their lesson too, Tunis.
But do you think Bronsky really went through the due process to take the court case directly to from NEC without NEC giving him any response and just taking it straight to the Supreme Court? Was he taking the right process?
No,
Is that?
I you see, Bronsky is a calculated politician. He's a calculated politician that only in there for himself. Because, like I told folks tonight, I like to look at the deviation, the root cause analysis as to what thing happened and why. Let's look at 2005. 2005 had an election, Tunis, and for every election, you have to generate a report that is described as the post-election report. And that post-election report will look at the near misses, the opportunity to improve, the recommendation. That is to prepare for the next future election. Mr. Bronsky was part of that. Ambassador Weah was part of that. President Johnson said he was part of that. Ambassador Weah was the only person who came out to say, you know what, we have some irregularities. How can we face the irregularities? But he got thrown down. People disregard what he was saying. We jumped into 2011. Same thing happened. This time it was Ambassador Weah, and it was also Honorable Tubman. They came again with the same issue of voter irregularities in the election. Again, the same people turned around again and forgot about listening to Ambassador Weah. They decided to move on. Now today, Honorable Bronsky knows very well that the party that he was aligning himself with, President Andy Johnson Sirleaf, is not supporting the Unity Party anymore. So that makes him vulnerable. Now, remember, from 2005 to 2011, Mr. Bronsky was quiet. He didn't say anything. But now he looked into the crystal ball now and feel that there's no hope for him. So what he decided to do now? He decided now to take his own interests, the interest that would benefit him. So he went against the out. We have voter irregularities. It's obvious that it's supposed to happen. Voter irregularities is supposed to happen. It's obvious. But why it is not obvious is the process involved. NEC has the legal authority in our country by law and by rule and by article within NEC regulation that once the election result is announced, after 7 days, you can file your appeal and followed by a 30-day investigation by NEC and her staff. Now, Mr. Bronsky knew that his allegation was insufficient to substantiate his claim with NEC. But because he felt he knows the law, he decided to what? To now wait for the closure from NEC to give him that right to go to the Supreme Court. What did he do, Tunis? He took a case to the Supreme Court. While the case was still being investigated, Musa Belidi was representing Unity Party, presenting the cases of what they had discovered. But Bronsky felt that because there was a projected date that was given by NEC, he used his constitutional right to go to the Supreme Court. But here's the thing that he failed to make the Liberian people to understand. As long as that 30 days is not concluded, there's no closure to his case, it was going to be impossible to have that election. Because the Supreme Court wouldn't even allow that when you have an ongoing case with a candidate who, for the fact, has a lot of people aligning with his philosophy. So he decided to disrespect the due process that he talked about. He did respect that process, which I want the Liberian people to understand that when you run an institution, no matter who you are, we need to make sure that we respect the rules regarding any institution in the country. That's how we learn to be good citizens and make our country better. Instead, he jumped to the Supreme Court. Remember, we had 30 days. So between all the time you were running to the Supreme Court and NEC having the ability to analyze, guess what happened? The case today came out to say, you know what? Since you asked for this stay order, there's nothing we can do. We're granting the stay order. Go back to the go back to NEC to have the issue resolved. But what? Hello, Tunis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Okay, all right. This is why the Supreme Court should have done. Why it is true that Mr. Bronsky has a right. The very day he filed his report with the Supreme Court regarding the stay order, the Supreme Court, knowing very well that NEC had 30 days, they should have denied his appeal and say, you know what? We're going to instruct NEC to make sure that your case is processed and they present a conclusion to you before you come back to us. They didn't do it. They took a bit, and because of that, the Supreme Court managed to take some days away from the 30 days that NEC supposed to have taken to investigate the case, which is why today the court said the case has been sent, the issue has been ordered to go back to NEC so that NEC can speedily investigate the case. The reason they use the word speedily is because the Supreme Court has taken days out of that too. So now it's up to NEC. But I tell you what, NEC already has a result because NEC, through the different press conferences, NEC through their communication online, have proven that Mr. Bronsky does not have a case. So it's going to be a very fast-track decision that will be given back to Mr. Bronsky that he doesn't have a case. And guess what Mr. Bronsky is going to do? Mr. Bronsky now is going to go back to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court now is going to decide his fate. As you know, the Supreme Court is the arbiter of law in our country and the final decision maker. Now, there is the caveat to that. Remember, Edwin Snow is part of the Unity Party that has aligned itself with Mr. Bronsky. When he worked on that committee of justices, I'm having a little doubt because there's a conflict of interest right there. So I want the Liberian people to look at this, that if the decision favor Mr. Bronsky, and Mr. Snowwell is on that committee, I can say for a fact that she may play some role. So to take herself out of any kind of shenanigan, I would suggest that she recuse herself from that process. And here is why. Because Mr. Snow had gone to the same Supreme Court with cases, and he had won those cases. But those cases have been very minute cases. But this case is a very large case that we don't want to take for granted, because you know what? We have two significant parties that are the outstanding party in the country, and we want that election to be held and not to be put in some kind of debacle that will derail our election. So I'm also calling that his wife recuse herself should, in case Mr. Bronsky go back for the final hearing of his case. But the NEC going to have a very fast track of Mr. Bronsky case, which they're going to deny, and they're going to recommend a forward step into the runoff election.
But how come Unity Party got involved into this case, and they have already agreed to go for the runoff with CDC? How come they became an adversary to this particular case?
I tell you what, there are two things. Number one, Unity Party does not have the calculus. They does not have the chemistry to win this election. So they resulted to Bronsky derail process. Because think about it. Ellen Johnson said he had been the brain behind the Unity Party. She had been the mobilizer. She had been the motivator. She had been the financier. She had been the brain. But because she decided to take a back seat, knowing for the well that Mr. Booker does not have the juice to become the next president, she decided to take the back seat. Secondly, most of her folks that are better with her, the legs of Councilor Bronsky, including Booker himself, Eddie Snow, these are all the different people that differ with Ellen Johnson's philosophy. So they all align themselves now with the Unity Party. But they have nothing to prove. Remember, Tunis, before we got into this stuff, they were preaching what? The message of war, 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 war. Because they don't have message. How will a party that was in power for 12 years don't have a message for the Liberian people? That tell you that they didn't do a good job. So what it resulted to? They resulted to what? Creating chaos among our people, that there will be war. Ambassador Weah win. And we know that Ambassador Weah, who he is, has been the UN ambassador, has been the peace reconciler through the Ellen Johnson administration, and he has done extremely well in that role. Number two, he also had served as presidential candidate within his party, and he also has served as VP in his party, and they had irregularities, but because of the sake of our people, they allow these things to go ahead. But Unity Party feel that they don't have the numbers, they don't have the capability to make the second round, so they're not aligned with Mr. Walker Bronsky. Mr. Walker Bronsky has become the spoiler of this election. He has nothing to lose because he has been a third place person for the past 3 elections. So he coming in now as the spoiler. Guess what is happening here? Unity Party that don't have the means to go to the second round to win this election has decided to join the fray, to derail the process, to create frustration within the mind of our people, which is why I'm on here to say, you know what? Look at Unity Party record. Look at Mr. Bronsky's record. Since when did Mr. Bronsky took interest into voter irregularities? Why didn't he speak about this in 2005? Why didn't he speak about it in 2011? Why didn't he speak about it before the election on October 2017?
This is a man who didn't even take 10% of the voting record in Liberia. He didn't even come up to 10%. Why is he taking these steps? And for the matter of fact that he's not going anywhere with this case anyway, even if you have to rerun this over and over more than 5 times, he's always going to be the 3rd place or the 4th place. Where is he taking this to?
Well, it's a political manipulation of game. You know what they're trying to do here? Bronsky, as I told you, is a calculator politician. What he's doing now is a mind game. He wants to drag and derail this process so that the voters in the country can get frustrated. And in his mind, he feels that that is going to build Unity Party to gain more status in terms of numbers. So dragging the process, going to frustrate people, people are going to give up, people are going to get tired, and they're going to go away. But guess what? The Multi-Congress for of a democratic change, all right, the CDC party will continue to remain resolute. They continue to remain focused. They continue to keep their guard, which is why when you hear today's decision, look, to this, I want to give thanks to members of the CDC party for being so organized. If you look at some of the images that were on Facebook today, they had the police were in full gear. They have the surveillance population that criticize the CDC all the time. They were all watching to see what the CDC was going to do today, not knowing that CDC is not the problem in our country. When the result was announced, the police came in high gear. Did you see any commotion in the street? Absolutely not. Did you see anybody causing chaos? Absolutely not. Because the CDC is focused on one thing, and that thing is we are waiting for the runoff so we can take Ambassador Weah to the executive mansion. That shows that the party is focused. So what Mr. Bronsky and Unity Party are doing is just wasting
So
people's
I
time
would like
and don't want to move forward.
I would like for you to go into the mind of the Election Commission. What do you think they are coming? What will be their response to Mr. Bronsky? And do you think that response going to get Mr. Bronsky back to the Supreme Court, or he just going to waive it? Because I overheard that he doesn't even trust the Election Commission. And where are we going with this if he doesn't trust the Election Commission? And this is the Election Commission that went through this process, the first run, and there was a date for the second run. Until now, we came to this dilemma. How can we? How can you go into the mind of the Election Commission?
Well, the Election Commission might have already been made up. They see Mr. Bronsky allegation as an isolated issue and as a mere scam to derail the process. Here's why. The Election Commission had come out with the ballots that Mr. Bronsky was claiming that was actual real ballot that became a fraud. Those were brochures. Those were brochures. When you vote in other countries, they gave you the final brochure to look at in order to determine who you're actually going to vote for. Those are the ballots that Mr. Bronsky brought forward as evidence. And besides that, the magistrate of every county and district within our country, the next administration have contacted these people, and they are proving that there is not any sort of voter irregularity or fraud that took place during our election. So the decision, their decision now to Mr. Bronsky would be, there isn't enough evidence to prove that there were any sort of irregularities. Will that time elapse? Absolutely, Tunis. There will be time elapse, because you know what? Since 1847, when it rains, the southeastern part of the country is divided from the northern part. All right, and then from the northern part is always divided from the east and the west because of bad road condition. Those things will equate to having lapses in the time. But does that equate to massive fraud or lapses in our election process? Absolutely not. So Mr. Bronsky's claim is not going to be sufficient to have any decision from NEC in his favor. But guess what he's going to do? When he gets that, he's not going to relax now, because NEC already made up our mind. He is now going to run to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, of all courts that we know in the country, we have a deadline of January 18th. So January 18th is supposed to be the inaugural day. I can say for a fact that the Supreme Court is going to tell Mr. Bronsky, based on the NEC decision, as an institution that we trust to run our election in this country, we deem it unnecessary to move forward with this case, and NEC has to look into itself to determine what can be done to correct the process, which is why I'm always calling for post-election report, because the post-election report will give the next election commissioner the opportunity for improvement, to improve the system. We have an ecosystem in our country, whether it's governmental ecosystem, whether it's the family ecosystem, whether it's a private ecosystem, there will always be margin errors. But those marginal errors can be corrected to prevent further mistakes in the future, which is why I have been calling for post-election report to determine what has gone wrong. And Mr. Bronsky has not been an advocate for these things, but only because he feels that he has aligned himself with the Unity Party that want to create chaos, because they feel in their mind that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is supporting Mr. Weah and the Joel Howard ticket. So they all have supported, I mean, they all are supporting him now to go after the Supreme Court in the legal way to derail the peace process, which is unfair to the people of Liberia.
But this is the man that say he doesn't have trust in the election commission. Now, where are we going with this?
They say when the New Year will be good or the Christmas will be good, you can tell from the Eve. He hasn't even gone there yet, but he has already started to cause trouble. Mr. Bronsky is a spoiler. He's a spoiler of peace. He's a spoiler of our political process. He had no good intention for that country because he hasn't even gone there to test what the Supreme Court is made of. Remember, Mr. Bronsky had a beef. Remember when Harrison Conway was denied by the Election Commission of violating the Code of Conduct? What did Mr. Bronsky? Yeah, he ran to the Supreme Court and got it well, which is why when Ned was investigating his case, he felt that he was not going to get his chance. So he jumped the gun again and went to the Supreme Court. But this time around, he got a punch in the face and said, you know what? We hold that stay order, go back to NEC and go reconcile with them for you guys to have that hearing. And if that hearing turns your way, fine. If it doesn't turn your way, we are here. But again, Tunis, Mr. Bronsky is a spoiler. He's a political manipulator. He's not in the interest of the Liberian people. He and Honorable Borka, I feel sorry for Mr. Borka. This is a man who people claim that he has 42 years record. All right? Do you think for a second that the position that Mr. Borka in, preparing himself for second round, do you think if Bronsky were in that position, know who he is? This is a man who was corporate lawyer for a company in his own county, and he put his county under the bus and supported a corporate organization that was disturbing and inhumanly treating his people. Do you think if he had the opportunity that Mr. Borka is in today, Tunis, do you think he was going to take side with what Mr. Borka was going to do, which he's doing now today? No. Second opinion, fact here. If Mr. Weir had decided to do what Mr. Bronsky is doing today in 2011, what was going to be the response of the Liberian people, Tunis? You tell me. What was going to be the response of the Liberian people?
Before we move further, this is a program that I only bring one expert in our Liberian politics at time, and this is the guest I got here today. We are here to discuss the issue, the response. We are reacting to the response from the Supreme Court today. This morning, the Supreme Court brought up our decisions that the case must go back. The case that Bronsky took to them must go back to Election Commission. So I brought up my brother here, who is MA master degree holder in politics, in environmental something that he knows of, and he introduced himself that way. He also got a little bit knowledge of politics, so he go into the mind of our politician, and that's the reason why he's here for tonight. And we will not be taking call from nobody else. If you want to hang out with us to know more about Liberian politics, this is what we are here for. And we're not here for 45 minutes. So let me come back to you, Randy. His name is Randy.
Sure.
I'm Tunis. This is all about Liberia. If you're a Liberian, you can stick around. If you're not, you're interested in Liberia politics, you can stick around. Let me come back to you again. What about URE involvement into this court case? What is involvement in this?
Well, these are all losers. All of them are losers. And I'm sorry to be so broad with the word loser. They are all losers because you know what? URE is on record for telling anyone in Liberia who is eligible to vote to never vote or align themselves with anyone who is part of the Unity Party establishment. But guess what? His own faithful media talk show host, who has said all kinds of nasty things about Mr. Borka, is today in the backyard of Mr. Borka talking about how good he is. So what do you expect from Mr. Ure? These are all political parasites that are looking for anywhere or any used body to breathe into. But with the citizen are not like that. CDC remain resolute. CDC is a horse that will always welcome those who deflected, who went AWOL, but they are not going out there to tell you that if you go to join Unity Party, if you go to join ALP, if you go to join ANC, we will not support you. No, CDC always have that open arm to bring back their members. Because you know what? People can go and experience for themselves and they will come back. So what does that tell you about Mr. Ure? The question is, why did he, in the first place, even establish a political party when he doesn't have a principle for which he stands? He violates the own words that come out of his mouth. He violates those words. So to be true with you, Mr. Ure doesn't have any political ground to stand on. He doesn't have anything to rely on. If you don't have nothing to rely on, you fall for anything. Which is why now he's lying himself.
What about Cummins?
Cummins is a disturbed guy. All right? He's a complete disturbed individual. He had the opportunity to make or to break, but he continued to break himself down. He said we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. But he doesn't understand the political culture of our country.
And getting the same result.
Yeah. So now what has he done? The Liberian people have suffered for 12 years on the UP administration. Mr. Bronsky has done nothing to change anything to make it right. Today he's showing his support behind these two people. So what does that tell us? He's no different from the diaspora Liberians that go to to go to Liberia just for themselves. This man, all he should have done when he lost the election was to sit on the fence and see what these people are made of. But instead, he joined with them. Now he's part of the supporter group. So ANC, ALP, Unity Party, Liberty Party, call them from today on the supporter. They are all supporters in our country. They don't want to see the country move forward. It's very disheartening to our people.
For those of you who are listening to our program here, this is mainly for a CDC, a sedition. This is a sedition program. You welcome anybody. You can be a Unity Party member. You can be a Cummins supporter. You can be Bronsky supporter. You're welcome to hang out with us. But mainly, this is all about CDC Party, this program here. And I brought this young man here. He's a true sedition, and he's also well knowledge of the Liberian politics. That's why he's here. So you can put any derogative marks you want to. We agree to that.
We welcome that. We welcome that. You know what? We welcome that. You can keep criticizing. As long as you're criticizing, you listen to the program, we welcome that. Because you know what? The truth must be told. These guys have been in the political vanguard for all these years. They have done nothing. Look at George Weah. They were calling the men who are going to disturb the peace. They didn't say that a few months ago that they're going to disturb the peace. Now what happening now, Tunis? They are the one now who are the spoiler, who trying to derail the peace process and don't want our country to move forward. They are the spoiler. They are the spoiler.
What can you tell our Liberian people in the diaspora that what is really going on for them to understand it from your point of view?
Well, our folks in the diaspora, this is what happened here. Every time we advocate that when will Liberia become a better country, this is the opportunity that we have never been able to experience. Even our fathers, our mother, and our grands and our granny have never been able to experience. And that is the transformation of power from one government to another. Many of us have seen it happen in other countries where we reside. This is an opportunity that we supposed to at least believe in, to say, you know what, let me see this piece of opportunity before I die. But Mr. Bronsky, with the DNA from the 1990 days, it had resonated in him. He don't want to see that process. He don't want us to tell our children that we one time saw a transformation of government. What we need to do from over here is to condemn his action and let us tell our people back home to trust the decision of NEC. If America can say, you know what, George Bush won the election, Al Gore, you lost the election, Donald Trump won the election, Hillary Clinton, you lost the election, let us trust our system, because our system must improve in order for us to move forward. So that is my message to our people in the diaspora. We must learn to tell our people to trust the decision that come from the authorities and those that are in authority in our country. Flomoyan did it for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Let Mr. Kokoya do it for this round. He had declared 2 winners.
What
If
are
this
some of what are some of the changes that you think if Ambassador Weir became president of Liberia? What are some of the changes you think will be put in place in Liberia?
well, first of all, we have human capacity issue. We have the issue of corruption. We have the issue of divide and rule, which is why today you're seeing a lot of folks supporting other political parties, even though the setup of the unity government was bad. But it has resulted to two parties now, CDC and Unity Party. The divide and rule game, where everybody goes in there for themselves and not for the entire country. Ambassador Weir, when he become president, which he will in the not too distant future, right after we get into the runoff election, he's going to win the thing. Is to number one, to look at the way to break that chain, to break that umbilical cord between people who are depending on some political individual rather than giving them that independent mind. He's going to build a human capacity. He's going to make sure that people marry what they deserve. He's going to make sure that he make our people to love our country more than the very country we live in. That is the mindset. And that dream cannot be realized by Ambassador Weir himself. That dream can be realized by every Liberian who is watching this program now and who want the best for their children. Tunis, every day when I sit here, I see my kids grow up. And when I hear war in the country, people talking about war, want to bring war to Liberia, wherein when they get sick, even their fingernails hurt, they're on the plane coming to America or going somewhere else. And you have bulk of people in the country that are not able to get the same opportunity. And then when you hear them talking about, oh, I believe in the justice system. But when something happens, they're ready to take out the plane to leave. Those individuals, like Mr. Bronsky, like Mr. Boyka, like Mr. Alexander Cummings, like Mr. Uri, those people don't have love for that country. This is a man who can tear place. And this is something that he has been consistently being on for 3 successive elections. To see today that, oh, because he didn't win the election, he wants to show that our country can become better. My word to the people of Liberia is he had the opportunity to make it better in 2005. He had the opportunity to make it in 2011. He had the opportunity to make it between 2012 to 2016. He did none of those things, but because he feel that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is on the side of Ambassador Weir, which is untrue, and he knows very well that he is going to be slapped. This man is 66 years old. The next election, he's probably going to be over 70 years old. He will stand no chance. These are all the above reasons why he's fighting the losing battle that he's not going to win, because in weeks to come, the Supreme Court will overturn his decision
But this man,
and he will join the population.
after the last election, this is the man that told us that he wasn't going to run again. That was his last choice. But
Correct.
again, when he came back, he said God told him to run. I mean, is this a prophet? With God told him to run, but God didn't tell him that he was not going to win? I mean, can you say something about this? Because really,
Well,
I'm confused.
he's just a con artist. That's who he is. You know, con artists always come back with new tricks to be allowed back into the system. All right? He's a man of no purpose. He's a man of no vision. He doesn't want to build institution. All he wants to do is to build his self-esteem, to seek things for himself and his immediate family. That's who he is. Because if he said that he was not going to be running, he was going back to his farm, what triggered him to come back? Now he's back. Now look what he presented to us. Complete chaos. That's why he's presenting to us. Chaos.
What do you
If you say
think?
God,
What do you think Boaka leadership would do to us, we the Liberian?
Boyka is not going to have a leadership. Boyka
I mean,
leadership is being seen now.
if anything happened, we don't know. This let's presume that if he became
Well,
president, what his
well, then
leadership would do to
I
the
will close my eyes. I will close my eyes to discuss it because it's not going to happen in my life. No, it's not going to happen. So let me close my eyes and discuss that. I'm being very honest with you here, and this is where my analytical skill comes. This man has ran 12 years with the Unity Party, has done nothing. 42 years, he has done nothing but to preach war, fear-mongering politics. It's not going to work. So in his leadership, look what he's doing now in his party. He doesn't have a message for the people of Liberia. He relied on Bronsky to disturb our people's mind, thinking that he's going to get elected. But the more he continued to carry on and support this behavior of Mr. Bronsky, he is sinking himself more deeper to the bottom of this earth, where he's going to lose big time, because this is the time that he's supposed to come out when people are talking about war, to say, you know what, we are at war in this country, people. Whoever is preaching war politics, I'm not for it. I want to make sure that the administration that I'm serving now, we want to make sure that where we were not able to get caught up, when we get into the next phase, we will do our best. But Mr. Booker is silent on everything. He's silent on some of his supporters talking about there will be war. He's silent on the fact that Unity Party is dragging this thing and he's taking his side with them. He's not being a leader. He doesn't have the stigma. He doesn't have the stamina. This man is a total loser. He's a complete failure to himself, to his family, to the people of Liberia. Therefore, he is not going to be elected. So let's just forget about Booker. Booker is just in the race because he has been elected by the little influence that Eddie Johnson said he left with the Unity Party through partisan, which is why he's in this race. But to say that he's going to spy in Barcelona, that is going to be in my eye closed dream world, but not in my eyes open reality world, because he's not going nowhere, Tunis. What record does he have to run on now? All right? If you have a better record, you will be talking about your successes. You will be talking about what you have accomplished for this country. This is a man who said he was part like an old car. So we are looking for Jatro to jack that car on our old and junk it. That's all he fit to do. That's all we're looking for right now.
Let's look at Prince Johnson. I mean, before the election, Prince Johnson was bad-mouthing Weir because of some incident took place in Nimba.
Correct.
Between Brunskin Party and the CDCM Party. And
yes,
he came out bad-mouthing that if Ambassador Weir become president of Liberia, there will be a war. And now we are seeing him on board with Weir, how this gameplay all of a sudden he switched to Weir, the man who was bitterly against George Weir and the CDC party, calling them all kinds of names, that they are hoodlum, they are grown-up boys, motorbike boys in the street. They know nothing. They are not educated. If it become president, there will be a war. There will be something. Now he's on board with George Weir. How that happened?
Well, that just politics. All right, that just politics. He was only making those fear mongering. Number one, he's a guy who lived through the war. He's a guy who came to power through making name for himself through the war. So he felt that it was going to resonate with him. Guess what? It didn't resonate. All right? He came where? In the fourth place, I guess. He came in the fourth place. So he had learned a lesson that, look, you can scare the people sometime, but you cannot scare the people all the time, which I really did not support. All right? But here is the thing that I won't take. You know, I gave him 5% of my trust. He's a guy who believes in principle. And if only Mr. Brunskin could live by his own principle that society will appreciate, it will make him a great person. Here's why. Senator Johnson said the reason, and the only reason he's aligning himself with Ambassador Weir is when they went to Ganta, that was Brunskin, Cummings, Ure, Ambassador Weir, and the Johnson himself, they made that commitment that if one of the parties succeeded and come face to face with Unity Party, they will all support that party. So he said he war mongering politics. It failed, but he did not resort to say, you know what, I'm not going to support this guy. Because you know what? All the 19 political parties that were on that platform in the campaign, their goal was to unseat the Unity Party. If that is true to themselves and to the people that supported them, my question is, what if Mr. Ure had won to go to the second round? What if Ellis Cummings, Prince Johnson, Ure have gone to the second round with Unity Party? Were they going to align themselves with the Unity Party and say, take it, we're not going to go for second round? Or were they going to say, you know what, whoever wins, including Ambassador Weir, was he going to support whoever from the opposition party was going to take on Unity Party? I would tell you, say yes. Ambassador, we are going to do exactly that because you know what? He's a man who wants to see change in our country, no matter who was going to be the front runner to meet the Unity Party, he was going to support them. But you know what? It only shows that Mr. Cummings, Mr. Ure, Mr. Brunskin, all of these people don't have the country at heart. They claim by their mouth, but by their action, it shows that they don't have that country at heart. So everything that our people have suffered for the past 12 years, Ellis Cummings, Mr. Brunskin, Mr. Ure, they have been fooling us. Not knowing that they appreciate the suffering our people are going through because they see that as an economic benefit for themselves, which is why they are aligning themselves now with Mr. Boyka of the Unity Party. That is the trick that they are bringing here. Because, Tuna, you tell me, if you've been complaining, like you say, don't vote for anyone who is part of the Unity Party. But here is he today, aligning himself with the Unity Party. Ellis Cummings said, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. Here is he now, aligning himself with the Unity Party. You see my point?
Do you really think that these elections going to go on the second round, or we're going to go for rerun or something like recount? What you're thinking?
There's not going to be no rerun. There's not going to be no rerun. We're going for the run-up. Mr. Brunskin case will be a lesson learned. It will be a lesson learned that the next election, whatever we are brought up in 2005 and 2011 that was overlooked, what Mr. Brunskin had brought in 2017, those are things that the Election Commission will take as a lesson learned to improve our electoral process. This system is going to go through runoff. This is why. Reason number one, we had 2 front runners. Reason number 2, we got a deadline to meet. Reason number 3, we don't have the financial means to go and waste our time. Number 4, our country needs to move forward and not to move backward. Brunskin, Ure, Cummings, Boyka, they want our country to go backward. We're not going to go backward. I was in my 20s when I left Liberia under the same Brunskin shenanigan. I've been in the country now for over 22 years. I don't want any Liberian to go through that same nonsense that I went through. The future of Liberia belongs to Liberians. Those Liberians that are not opportune to come to this country or travel out of the country, I want to make sure that they get the opportunity, which is why on the sidetrack, I do not support 100% dual citizenship. I support dual citizenship with restriction. Because if I came in this country and benefited here, I want to make sure that Ambassador when he supported dual citizenship, he should have limitation to it. Any Liberian who is truly educated and qualified for the job in Liberia should be given that opportunity. These are the things that I want to hear Mr. Boyka, Honorable Ure, Ellis Cummings talking about. But guess what? Those guys have been cheering, not in Liberia, but all the country. And only Ambassador is working in the interest of our people to get those things done. I always say this for a fact. People may be criticizing me. Hold on for 1 second before I lost my thought. I always say this. I am supporting Ambassador today. If he does become president, which he will, and he starts to screw up, trust me, I'm a well-qualified person who works for one of the biggest pharmaceutical industry in America. I don't need a job in Liberia. I will come right back here. And if you two does not come to sit with me, I will come back here and start to expose some of the things that I think that Ambassador is not doing for the people of Liberia. Because you know what? I want to make sure that every Liberian who did not have the opportunity to come into this country or other country should be given that opportunity for the change he's advocating for. So the battle between the change that we're advocating for is just starting with me. All I've asked God for is long life, so you guys can see that the very Randy here is a very controversial person if things are not going right for him. So the people of Liberia, I am not just here supporting CDC because I have an interest. No, my interest is already here. I already built my career for myself. All I'm advocating for right now is you that in Liberia to get that opportunity. Tuna, do you know when you're 40 years old, you have at least 20 more years to live your life? How many people in Liberia in their 40s, in their 30s are able to say, you know what, I'm going to take my child out on a Saturday to get an ice cream. I'm going to take my child to a private school and see my child go through that private school fence. Now, many people doing that, my brother. Not many people doing that. And then to see Mr. Brunsky, who live in our country, which I don't live now, and see how our people are being strangulated and he continue to suffocate our people. Why? Why? For the sake of power? That's why we should go through this thing. Mr. Brunsky is wrong. He must be able to backtrack. He must relinquish himself from what he pursuing and let the peace process go ahead. If he have an agenda to pursue, let him align himself with Mr. Barker, take his supporters to support Mr. Barker. When they get into the election, if his candidate in his dream wins, then he can bring the idea. But guess what? If Mr. Barker and Mr. Uri and ANC and Mr. Bronsky want their real vision to come to reality, and Ambassador Weah wins and they bring those things before him, and Ambassador Weah says no, trust me, I will be back here supporting all of them. Because you know what benefit one Liberian benefit all Liberians. Our people have suffered for a very long time. Can you imagine you see people in the country begging, in your own country you begging? God have mercy on Tunis. Sorry for interrupting your question.
What do you think that people are complaining so much about in Liberia right now? Like, for instance, probably it could be rural condition, hunger, or currency devaluating. In the first 100 days of George Weah presidency, what do you think he's going to tackle first?
Well, as a political analyst, as a policy and regulatory analyst, I firstly would like to see Ambassador Weah carrying on a full-blown audit of every ministry to determine the deficit we have. If we identify the deficit, to have the transparent leadership from the executive mansion, I would like to see Ambassador Weah having a weekly press conference to start. And as long as they get into that rhythm, the next thing now is to make sure that they continue to inform the people. Our people need to be very, very abreast to how he's going to run his government. If Eddie Johnson said he is leaving maybe $2.2 billion or millions of dollars in debt, he needs to declare that. The next thing he needs to do is to reconcile the country. I feel so bad when I see some of my brothers and sisters aligning themselves with politicians. I don't like them. I don't appreciate them. Liberia is all we have. Some people live 30 years old. They don't even have what we have, Tunis, in our country. I could have been one of them. I could have been in our country today, hustling, which is why I'm on the side advocating for them. I have seen these politicians have done nothing for our country. So let us get Ambassador Weah the opportunity. If he screw up, we all can come here and put him on the grill and grill him good. Because you know what? Our democracy is making progress.
There is a question from one of the watcher here saying, Sarah, her name is Sarah Jackson, saying that what made you think that only CDC is the one that can change Liberia? What made you think so?
Yes, CDC is the only party. Guess what? The name Zogos. It was not Ambassador Weah that created the Zogo. The Zogo was those who fought in the war that were chewed out. You know, when you chew a bubble gum, you take the sweet from in it, you chew it out. After the warmonger came, they created the war in our country. They turned the young guys into Zogos and they spit them out. When Ambassador Weah came, he was the only man the UN saw that during the war, when he was playing, people listening and want to hear his name. The UN brought him in as a peace ambassador. Eddie Johnson started talking, which is why those kids, they see him based on his foundation of where he came from and decide to align themselves with him. They see a future through them. And guess what? He has stayed in there for almost 12 years. He ate with them, he ride with them, he slept with them.
Let me just hold you there for a second, please. Let me just hold you there for a second. For those of you who are listening, this program here is all about CDC and it's only take one person at a time. We cannot take more than one person. This is Facebook Live. It's not any particular program we are using. We are using Facebook Live. But right now, Facebook Live only take one person at a time, so we cannot invite more than one. And right now, my guest here is Randy Dapper, who lives in the Pennsylvania area. I want him to get into our politician here and give us some sense from there. What they mean, all of what the games are going on, about the players and the Liberian people. So go ahead. Sorry about stopping you.
Yeah, sure. So again, CDC, under the leadership of Ambassador, we have become consistent with our plight, the plight of our people. He remained in the struggle. He listened to them. Can you imagine people were on the CDC compound when soldiers went there and killed them? That remind me of what happened on the university campus when I was little. West Ham those send people to go and kill people at the University of Liberia. The decision went through that on November the 7th. Ambassador Weah did not pack it low and say, you know what, I'm done. The politicians don't want to see no peace in this country. Some of us had done it. We packed our load, we left. But he continued to stay with the people. So he remained consistent. So the people feel that the future is in Ambassador Weah. Even Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has seen it. Robert Sirleaf has seen it. All the popularity and good things that Mr. Sirleaf did. When he went in the contest with Ambassador Weah, he lost. So the people are giving their trust to Ambassador Weah. Is he going to be 100% perfect? I would say no. Does he need our support? Yes. Every Liberian, let us put Ambassador Weah there and testing. If you got an issue, you go to Ambassador Weah, present your issue. Let's see how he's going to handle it. These politicians have failed us. Ambassador Weah continue to be the torchbearer of the Zogos in our country. Why will you call somebody Zogo when they were not Zogo to begin with? Even the same very man, Mr. Bronsky, have been here talking about Zogos.
There is a brother here whose name is Musa Jate.
Okay.
Musa Jate. He's coming here and say you are tired pushing hour in America, so you are looking for job. My brother, we know you guys.
Look, I'm not here to brag. Today, that's why I say other people have their comment, all right? You see the way I dress like this? I just came from work, all right? I just came from work. I work in Princeton. I don't know where you know Princeton, but you should do your research on Princeton. I work with one of the top medical device company. If your grandfather's heart is broken and he's about to die, we make the device as an engineer. We make those devices. It's just a generator. When the electric go off in Liberia, the generator kick in. We make those device called pacemaker. We sell them $500 per piece. Liberia cannot afford to buy that. We make those things $500 per piece. And we sell that over the whole world.
But before you explain yourself,
my guests
that I bring on my show here, they are well-educated people, well-known people. They know how to get into the mind. They got degrees that some of us don't even have. So let us respect them. They are Liberian.
No, Tunis, don't give credence to the people. Let them have their say. This is what democracy is all about.
I told them that you can make any derogative remark you want to. This is what the show is all about. But we just want you to understand that these people that we bring on the show here, they are not people to play with. They are people who are well knowledgeable.
Let me tell you this story. Anybody that listens to me, go to the Liberian EPA tomorrow and ask for Randy. Your EPA director comes to me every time for advice. They even give me a job. They offer me a job. I turn it down. I bought my Camara when he was at the bank, Central Bank. I have those information. They gave me the job. When I told them how much I'm making here, Ellen O. Pratt from the Labor Ministry, she said, you're making too much money, we can't pay you that money. And I said, okay, if you're paying the people from NOCA $30,000, why you can't pay me how much I'm making? She said, oh, we don't have that money for you. But you know what? I wasn't ready to work for them. But I'm ready to support Ambassador Weah, which is why I'm not looking for a job in Liberia. Because number one, my company will not let me go. My wife will not let me go. I can only become a consultant. Right now, Tunis, I'm working with a company in Germany right now. Let me finish this point. I'm working with a company in Germany that when Ambassador Weah become president, I'm going to bring that company to purify every drinking water in every community. Because you know what? The typhoid fever. You know where the typhoid fever starts from? It starts from the very dumper you dump your dirt. The rats, the roaches, crawl on all those things, come to your house, which is why typhoid fever is so high in the country. So when Ambassador Weah gets there, my role will be to train people, train health workers, train young adults in school, in colleges, how to become a better Liberian to protect the country. So when it comes to talking about looking for pushing cartoon, trust me, I go to work at 9 a.m. I have a staff meeting every morning. I sit down in my office until I get tired. So just forget about that, my brother. I don't want to brag about that, but since Tune brought it up, I want to say it because you know what? There are many Liberians who don't want to hear what I'm saying. It's very, very bad. I don't believe in that. But it just came up because Tune said that. But when it comes to degree, trust me, Right now, I'm doing my second master now in the pharmaceutical industry. When you live in America, the pharmaceutical industry make money, right?
Well,
Money, money, money.
there's another lady here, Ellen Paul.
Okay.
She said we wait a minute, let me see it. Oh man, where's the Ellen woman, man? Okay, right here. She said you're bringing educated people to your show when CDC don't believe in education. Can you elaborate on that?
No, 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 no. That's the mindset. That is the mindset of our people. It's just like in America, they say all the black people are all criminal. So why are you bringing more criminal? No. It is the politician. It is the boycott. It is the URI. It is the ANC. They all are calling the people Zogos. If I come to Liberia, I'm not going to hang out with the folks. I'm going to West Point. Right now, I'm in contact with many communities that are in deplorable condition. My goal is to make sure that I help. And I can guarantee you, when I come to Liberia, I'm going to go into these communities and I'm going to help people. Because if we as Liberians try to denigrate our own people, then what you expect the Osa man, what you expect the Lebanese man, what you expect the Indian man to say to your people? It could have been me to say, oh, you're not educated. So let us not create that divide between ourselves, because only the enemy will win. If you see your brother down, give him helping hand. If you see your sister down, give them helping hand. Which is why I pray every day that I must do something to help everyone. If it will come through Ambassador Weir, which I believe it will be, is to come. Come to Liberia, provide services at the University of Liberia, provide community leadership. Take, for example, Tunis, we have billions in our country. What if all the natural disasters happening in the world happen in our country? How many kids in the school know how to escape fire when the school is on fire? How many market women in the market know that when the building is on fire, when we have an earthquake, when the Ministry of Finance is shaking, how do people get out to be safe? How do they know all these things? It's through education. The reason we're not educated because there were some who decided to bring war to our country, who never talk about the future, that this life we live in is a handover and take over. When you serve your term, you give time to the other to serve. So I don't believe in people not educated. If people are not educated, I will ask myself, but what has the system done that make our people not to be educated? In America here, it's a mandatory requirement that everyone graduate from high school. Why don't we have that in Liberia? Why don't we encourage that in Liberia? But we have some ministers who sit in a car and invite young girls and exploit them. We have lawmakers who exploit young girls. But nobody's saying anything about that because they want to use the slavery or economic wealth to keep our people down. I lived in the swamp. I lived in Capitol Shop when I was in Liberia because my parents could not afford it, which is why when I came here, the opportunity was given to me, I learned to the best of my ability. And I want to make sure that those that don't have that opportunity to come here, they should be given the first preference in Liberia to get that opportunity, which is why I will always challenge Ambassador Weir that those who are behind him today, if he become president, give them scholarship, send it abroad, let them learn, and be able to come back and use their brain and their hands to build our country of Tunis. So let the people
There's
have
a,
their say. Let them
there,
have their
there's a,
say.
there's another person there, Buster T. Heenan Jr.
Okay.
With all the million we had, what structure can the Liberian be proud of to show the world? And let me see. He move on to say, has we invested in Liberia? People keep writing too. Let me just, has
Just
we,
focus on one question and give it to me.
that's what I'm saying. Has we invested in Liberia like his fellow football players in their country?
Let me ask you one question. Eddie is an economist, right? Dr. Toba Nantibo is a PhD. Amos is a PhD. How many of them have built PhD university in Liberia? Some want to question people's background. All the bookish people who have in Liberia, why is the University of Liberia like that? I mean, you should be thinking that Liberia should be offering PhD in every area now. Okay, the Bronsky man who is a top lawyer. How many top lawyers do we have? What is the best law school in Liberia? Look, we need to start joking about individualizing things to move our country forward. Ambassador Weir is here with vision. If you see Didier Dropa, you see Matomo, you see Samuel Ito, go and do a due diligence or studies as to what their government did to offer them the opportunity to build things. Secondly, look at the time Ambassador Weah was at the plight of making money. What did he do? He was in different refugee camps helping people. His time of making money at that time is not compared to what DJ Dropa and Samuel Ito are making today. Ambassador Weah took most of his wealth to support our people that were in displaced camp. But today, he's back in the country trying to rebuild the country. Those that destroy the country, that said we should level Monrovia, what have they done today to rebuild the country?
Okay,
I'll be back.
We have already spent our time. We were here for 45 minutes, but
Yeah,
we have gone up to more than an hour, just a little bit over an hour. Please go to YouTube
I
and
think
check on his campaign rally. But so, if you won't mind for us to close, because we can't stay here long.
I need to get a case to bear now, so yeah, we can wrap up now.
All right,
But
let me hear your closing statement so that we can close. And then before you give your closing statement, this is something that we do here twice a week, Monday and Thursday. We're always here to let you know about the things that CDC is about to do in Liberia and talk about politics in Liberia. This is Tony's show, and my guest here tonight is Randy Dapo. Okay, and tomorrow, if any of you want to join my show, my name is, if you have to be a seditian though.
let them come with open mind. Let them come with open mind. Let them come with open
Exactly.
mind.
So you can join us. My number is 917. If you want to take the number down, 917-709-2944. You can get in touch with me and I can schedule you so that I can feature you on my show. So let me give my brother a chance to give his departing statement. Please take your time. Anytime
Look,
you want to take.
guy, first of all, I want to apologize. My kids in the background here. I'm a family man. I take care of my kids. That's one of my priority here. And so please forgive me for the background noise. Number two, what I would like to say here to this is, guys, can you guys give me just 2 minutes? Let me wrap up. What I would like to say here is I encourage everyone to come on the platform to express their view, express their frustration. And I'm not refusing you to say if you support URE, ANC, you shouldn't come here and have your say. It's free to me. You can have your say. You can say anything you want to say. But what matters here is I want to make sure that you as a Liberian, no matter who, sit down, please. Sorry, Tunis. No matter who you are, I want to make sure that the opportunity that every Liberian in this country, America, and other parts of the world, the opportunity they're giving to their children, you should also be able to give that opportunity to your children in Liberia. You should be able to take your children to the ice cream shop. You should be able to take your children to the better school. You should be able to take your mom, your aunt to JFK without paying any money before they get treated. This administration is the first time in my life that I have seen people die at the footstep of the hospital and they're not getting treated. Wherein when their people get sick, they come to America and get the first class treatment. My goal is to make sure that Ambassador Weah provide the necessary accessibility for those handicapped people that Mr. Barker had denied. My goal is to make sure that the soccer academy that the government did not provide enough resources for people who want to pursue other careers. I want to make sure that when you're a football player, you should be respected in our country. When you're a basketball player, you should be respected in our country. There's no reason why when you're a basketball player, you cannot diversify your skills. I was a computer scientist. Why do I become an engineer? Why do I become a pharmacist now? Because the opportunity is given to us in America to diversify our skills, to move forward. Liberia is our country. We must argue every day, but at the end of the day, we must look for the best leader. And I think Ambassador Weah has been consistent with our people. He has been moderate. We saw that in 2011 where he said, let peace go ahead. Let Eddie Johnson set it rule. But here is Mr. Bronsky, who has denied the fact that he doesn't want for the peace to go on. He has decided to become intransigent to the peace. He is wasting people's time. There are people who want to go to school and learn. There are people who want to improve the health sector, the environment, the working condition. He's completely against all those things by remaining intransigent and saying that if this don't happen, we cannot move forward. So CDC is the way forward because Ambassador Weah have become the symbol of peace. He's the man who I believe in. With all the struggle that I went through, with all the education that I have in America, I have refused the opportunity from other government. But I believe my expertise can support Ambassador Weah to become the person that I think he can make that country. He's a winner, he's a fighter, and he's going to make sure that he sees the thing through. My final advice to the citizen is remain resolute, keep your focus. All we do is we must wait, because that's the right thing to do. Because it's the right thing, because the right thing comes through miracle. And through miracle, we will win this election and will prove to our adversary that Ambassador Weah is the best leader that we ever have in our lifetime, in our history. He has made the world record, and he's going to make that record in Liberia, and therefore we should support him. Tunis, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank everyone who came on today. Look, keep bringing us here. Let us discuss. You know, those critics, as long as they continue to listen to us and post their question, in the time to come, we'll re-engineer their mind to align with Ambassador Weah and our philosophy to move the country forward.
And what do you say? Sao Muya,
Yeah, it's a
Muya,
Muya
Muya.
Sao. Muya.
Shut up. All right, guys. So let me take this out of here for now. And let me say thank you to every one of you guys for staying put. Now you see, right now I'm looking at the people, number of people that watching me. We have 5 people, right? Those of you who watch this show from the beginning to the end. Now you see, when some people come on the show that don't know who I am, because they don't get for them to watch what we do here. And now when they come, they say, oh, they man, they man. Now you see how I can start fucking them up, because they don't have interest in understanding what you are all about. They don't have interest in understanding what you are all about. So when they got nothing to do, instead of coming and just sitting and say, let me just watch this show. I don't know this guy. I don't follow this guy. But when they come, the guy eat your finger. Oh! Now you see why I can get rid of some of them, right? But let me say thank you to those of you who have watched the show. Yes, let me say thank you to those of you who watched the show here. Yes. Yeah, and Armstrong, Armstrong, you know, Armstrong is too kind. Armstrong don't even need to say nothing on the show, because Armstrong have been part of the same thing we talk here. This started in what? 2017. I started knowing Armstrong from 2015. 2015, 2 years after, before Armstrong watched the show. Armstrong was part of the show here. But Armstrong is too kind. That is why he loved to at least be part of the conversation. But Armstrong and I came a long way. Very, very long way. He knows the story inside and outside. He can tell the story on my behalf more than myself in many instances. But I just want to say, yes, too kind. And, you know. But again, Moyu, yes, you see some of the reason, right? You see how far I have come with our people in politics. I know these people. And that is why sometimes when I read to make my analysis, and those who don't understand when they can't get brush them aside. That was why 2017. How many years we're going on? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, because that recording was in November. The November that just ended yesterday. So it's gone exactly 5 years ago. The little girl that you heard back there now, she's in the 4th grade now. Her sister that are running behind her now, she in her 3rd year of college now. What has changed in Liberia, aside from when you add your part of children growth, your personal progress into the 5 years now? There are a lot of things that have changed in your life, right? But look at our country today. And you also observe that there are some consistent comments that are made in there. For example, I don't need a job. For example, I want to be a consultant. Those are consistent things. But Liberians that don't watch my show, guys you that are watching me, don't say ready, please exercise professionalism. No. In how much they are not willing to listen like you did when we are on any show, firing up our new cylinders, and they come in our way, we will have to remove them and put them in the TV room because they are not only distractor, they are irrelevant on the show here. So I'd like to say a big thank you to every one of you guys for taking your time to come and watch the show. And it's always a pleasure to get to know Randy most of the time. So I think you guys that watch the show now, you'll know what I said in 2017 that if we are doing the right thing, I will come back here. None of these guys can say these things. All the people that are making it know they don't have the videos to show to you guys that they said something back then. Only J. Randy is the only man on record that can prove that he has said it before and he will continue to say it, right? So, guys, thank you so much for the opportunity. Uh, Tomorrow is Friday, all right? And we'll be back here again. Maybe we'll do something in the morning, but I really want to go cut my hair, but let's see what happens in the morning. But I thought we had a very good time with the first segment of the show, and then we came over and did the video here. I have most of these things in here, but it's just I'm so, I get so tired, weak sometimes not to just play this thing. But I want to say thank you so much for your time. God bless you guys. Have yourself a pleasant night. I see you guys. Now you know where J Ready come from. Now you know who I am. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. Monyu, thank you for staying put. And every one of you guys, thank you guys so much. Those who came and stopped by, well, we'll wait for the time. But you know now exactly when I read to say it. Yet then say go to December 1st video. You want to know about J Randy? Go on his page, December 1st, 2022. You'll get to know who he is. He got a message there for you. So go in the TV room, just look for December the 1st, 2022. No matter the year, you'll find it there. Until then, guys, I see you guys. Bye to every one of you guys. J Randy is out of here. Bye-bye, guys.